Hello and welcome back to the final extreme run video of Cold Fear. Oh boy, it's been a really long time. When I found out that when I realised it had been 5 months since I'd last updated the LP, or at least updated with some content, I was, needless to say, quite surprised and a little bit ashamed really that it had taken that long, but god damn it, I'm glad that it's over. If I'm honest, it's kind of been a monkey on my back for quite a while. In that every time I'm doing something else, I'm always, oh, you know, I could be doing some of the LP. There's not a lot left to do. I could probably do that, but to be fair, I'm my own worst enemy, and I made things a lot more difficult for myself than they really needed to be. If I'm assuming that you've already watched the actual final one, and this, to just sort of remind you, this is usually the last thing that I do whenever I'm doing an update. Is I'll render out the final one, check that it's fine, and start uploading. And while that's happening, I'll actually record this extreme run stuff and just kind of do it off the cuff, and so I don't nothing scripted or anything. So I'm not really actually paying attention to what's going on the screen all that much. What was I saying? Yeah, if you remember back to that video, at the end of it during the credits, I have a bit that flies through the ship and the oil rig. That fucking thing is the reason why it's taken so long. The problem is that, as I'm finding out, and I found it when I was at uni and working with 3D modeling softwares, that when I'm working with some sort of software which is not fun to work with, or I don't feel that I'm making much progress with or anything like that, I kind of tend to pick at it and not really. It's sort of like, kind of, if I remember back to some sort of schoolwork, where a homework is something that you could do in a matter of hours, but it would take you like a week to do something, or an essay or something like that, where you could get it done really quickly, but you just kind of don't care. And that's how it was when I was doing the whole rig and ship thing. I'd already done the hard part, which was get all the information out of the game itself. So I had all the locations and I had them all in position, but I had to do all of the cleanup and that sort of thing. And what ended up happening was I was putting off doing the fly through of the ship and stuff, because I had this grand notion of, well, what if I can get the game characters out of the game as well? And that led into a whole thing of, well, if I'm going to do that, then can I get out their animation too? So in theory, I could be panning around the oil rig of the ship, and I would end up sort of just, you would be able to see little Tom Hansons going up lifts or running around, and maybe some of the enemies here and there where they made sort of like their first appearances. And that was the plan, and it kind of worked out, but it didn't sort of go anywhere. And it took me like a month and a half, and I ended up just shift deleting everything and having to recover all of that, and it was all really a complete pain in the arse while I was trying to do other stuff like work and everything. I just kind of lost interest. But at one point I did get some animation stuff out, and I put up like some stuff on Twitter about that, saying, yeah, look at animated GIF of this, and yay, things are gonna happen, and that sort of thing. But what I thought, okay, this is a good stopping point. I'll go back to doing the fly-through part and see if I can just set up some preliminary things to see what I've got to work with. And it ended up where 3ds Max is, as I knew and I had convinced myself wasn't the case anymore, is a complete piece of shit. And just putting a camera into the scene makes everything run like a fucking dog. So just moving the whole effort of moving the camera to one place to the other was a monumental effort. And I ended up just at that point saying, look, I can't have all these Tom Hansons and stuff running around and going through all the time and the effort of tweaking things to make sure they're right, because that's the sort of person I fucking am. So I had to just abandon it. I went, okay, I'll do some simple fly-through stuff, I'll talk over it, and that'll do. And once I got that out of the way, I think it maybe took me a day or two to actually finish off the rest of the final videos and just chuck it all in there, because I mean, I'm already well practiced at doing that. And like I was saying earlier, with working with Max not being fun, working with Premiere and Audition is actually pretty straightforward, and I enjoy working with it, so just knocking out the content and doing all that sort of stuff was actually really straightforward now. So yeah, I ended up actually knocking this out really quickly over a couple of days. As far as piecing all the content together, all this stuff here that you're seeing, I recorded this months ago. I think the actual final run through of the game was probably about 6+ months ago. It's just, I've just fucking picked at it and not really bothered to get it done, and it's just really shown me, in the same way that whenever I was doing the Chaser LP, that all of my time would be spent doing those little music video things at the end, all my time was being spent 3D fly-through thing, and I really should have just realised that from the start, that it was totally a waste of time and I just needed to move on. Let it go and just get the LP out the door and get this thing off my back, and now it should be out and that's it, and the LP is over. I don't know if I'm going to do another one, given that it's taken me a year, almost a year and a half to do what effectively would be 6 months of work. And really, I kind of just don't want to go through that again. The game was fine, and it wasn't as much fun to do as Project IGI was, but that's pretty much the case, that I didn't have all the time in the world then. I mean, I was unemployed when I did Project IGI, so I had all the time that I needed to do that and get it out pretty quick, but not with Cold Fear. It's been very busy over the last 6 months or so. But anyway, this LP is over, the Extreme Run is over, so I guess it's time to say goodbye once again. And I might not see you again, but maybe I will. Who knows?